Man, we moving time shares like Silverleaf and shit. Man, we full of the AI over here, man. Kind of link with voila. It's your boy John Mack, aka Mindbender, back in the motherfucking business with another one of them videos that they just can't handle. Please don't get dismantled, trampled, and set on fire, for example, but trying to go against this natural intellect and wit. You know, blessings come in abundance, but when you don't recognize them, it's a sad day in misnomer land. Wake your sleepy ass up and get from under that park bench with that pigeon shit on you. And pay attention to what's going on in this funny bunny ass case. Now, I see a lot of different aspects. I want to see if y'all notice them too. We're going to start off and listen to Chris Carroll, the alleged sergeant that was on the spot, the first responder to Tupac being shot, who claims that he heard Tupac's last words. Right after that, we're going to go into a segment into where we listen to the paramedics that were the last responders on the block, and to anchor it all with not only the voice of Pac and Big, but to let Suge Knight tell it in his own words. As I said before, while I hit this blunt, this entire case is fugazi. It's the most funny bunny shit on the planet, and you gotta be blind with one eye tied behind your back. Pete.
I came up to him, I was yelling at him to open the door. When I came up in the car, I could see that there was bullet holes all in the side of the door. Their bullet holes were kind of right around the handle, and there was also one or more in the windshield right in front of the passenger side. So I was approaching on the passenger side.
I guess the car had been shot 13 times?
You know, I couldn't tell you the exact number, but there were definitely multiple hits on the car. So I reached over, and I was not going to let this guy sit in the car and take me out, so I grabbed the car door, pulled the door open, and I was having a hard time getting the door open. And I think, and I'm still not positive, but I think the bullets being in close proximity to the handle itself, I think they somewhat disabled the mechanics of the door handle. And I was pulling it, and couldn't get it open. So, which was just making me even more concerned. I'm like, I got this guy here and now I can't even open the door. And I just pulled it and finally it popped and it came open. When I pulled the door open, now we've still got people running around, people are yelling. I'm trying to watch these other guys a little bit. And now I've got, at this point, Suge Knight is coming up behind me. And, you know, I'm looking at him and here's this guy, is giant. And I'm just like, man, this is a bad situation for me. And I pulled the door open, and when I pulled it open, the guy sitting in the passenger seat, who turns out later to be Tupac, he kind of slumped out, came out with the door. So he's in the car, he's leaning against the door, and as I open the door, he kind of spills out. So he spilled out, and I just kind of grabbed him with one hand, and then I was pointing the gun at Suge with the other, because Suge is still trying to run up to me, and you know, the guy's clearly a threat. He was also just absolutely gushing blood out of the side of his head, but he's acting fine. I mean, he's not incapacitated in any way. He's shooting blood out of the side of his head, and he starts yelling at Tupac, and he's yelling at him, Pac, Pac, and he just keeps yelling, Pac. And I can see, then I look down, I can see Tupac is trying to yell back to Suge, and he's just kind of not physically able to do it. And he's kind of, you know, you can see him sort of mouthing, and they're in eye contact with each other. And he's trying to get something out to yell at Suge, and he can't get the words out. But he's still, you know, he's fully conscious. He's moving, he's kind of squirming. And that's when I looked at him, and there was, you know, an extensive amount of blood on him. And I saw that he had, I couldn't tell exactly where it was, but he had clearly had torso wounds, which are, of course, you know, almost always going to be life-threatening. So I realized then this guy has a good possibility of dying. So I looked at him and I said, you know, what happened? Who shot you? Who did this? You know, what's going on? And he's just really just kind of ignoring me. He's not even, you know, even though I'm right there holding him, he's just kind of not acknowledging my presence, and he's trying to yell back at Suge. Well, I turned around at Suge, and that was the first time I noticed. I saw the back of another bike officer, and he was pushing Suge away from me, and that's the first time I realized there's other cops there, so that made me feel a lot better. So he kind of pushes Suge back, and Suge is still yelling, "Pac, Pac." He's trying to yell at him, and then I saw Tupac just, all of a sudden, just in an instant, he went from trying to, you know, kind of squirming, looking at Suge, trying to get the words out, to where you could tell he physically just gave up. He just wasn't able to do it. And he just crossed that line into just quitting and being at peace. And he just kind of laid back and was calm and was no longer looking or trying to do anything. And I could just see that he was just, you know, it's kind of like almost like an athlete or a runner when they hit that wall and it's just like it's over. And you could see that in his face. And I looked at him once again. I said, "What happened? Who did this? Who shot you? This? Who shot you? Who shot you? This? Who shot you?"
Who shot me? Who shot me? On pussy when I want Rolex on the arm. You'll die slow but calm. Recognize my face so there won't be no mistake. So you know where to tell Jake, lame nigga.
I was in Atlanta when Big Jake Robles got killed.
I knew Jake from growing up in the neighborhood here, Capitol Park. You know, brothers in the same neighborhood. You know, we got down together, we hustled together.
There was just a lot of little stuff people never knew about when you hear these hip-hop stories, and they keep telling you the story of Biggie and Tupac and some shit like that. You never hear names like Jake being included.
That death is arguably the most important death in hip-hop, because usually when these rappers get killed, it was street shit that ended up getting into rap shit. Jake was the first time rap shit turned into street shit. If there's no hip-hop, that murder's not happening, right?
The fucked up thing about that whole Bad Boy Death Row shit was that I invited both of these niggas to my birthday party. Then that shit left there, and I don't know what the fuck happened.
Jermaine Dupri was having a party somewhere else, and I decided to have a private set that music people could know, like, okay, come over here, and we're gonna get down over here.
Hey, oh yeah, I gotta do
P. Diddy was there, other celebrities and stuff. Suge pulled up, and it was just him and Jake.
Suge had him around to protect him.
Suge came to me that night, going around the party, what he used to do with the cigar and just kind of like, you know, be the big guy in the room, you know?
Suge and Puff got into a screaming match, and it looked like it was getting serious.
It was always like something between them.
Puff's homeboys was real street niggas. And Puff homeboys was also very into protecting him.
I knew Wolf to be Puff's right-hand man, that if anything jump off, he's gonna be there and he's gonna defend it.
I heard a bunch of commotion and people running and screaming and whatnot.
I got a call about 2 in the morning saying that he had gotten shot. And, you know, I need to get out there.
By the time he did pass away, you know, the word was going around in Atlanta that, you know, he was an OG blood and that he was like real gangster-like type motherfucker.
After Jake got killed, Death Row already came in banging. Now Bad Boy, by them hiring Southside Crips, they were starting to bang too.
Lame nigga, wave nigga, turn front page nigga. Who shot you? Who shot you? Who shot you?
And now he's looking at me, so we're looking at each other in the eyes. And this is kind of the first time he's even acknowledging my presence. And he looked at me, and I could tell he was, you know, he was getting the breath together. And I looked at him once again. I said, "Who did this? Who shot you? What happened? Who did this? Who shot you?" He said, "Fuck you." And he said it just like that, with an emphasis on that F to, you know, to really let me know. That's how he felt. So he said that, and right after he said it, he just kind of started, you know, gurgling, and you could tell he was in bad shape, and his eyes, he's starting to lose consciousness then, and his eyes roll back. And as it turns out that would be his last conscious moment in his life.
News now at 11.
It was a moment that changed the landscape of music forever and has been at the center of conspiracy theories ever since. And tomorrow marks 20 years since the deadly shooting of rap singer Tupac Shakur right here in Las Vegas.
And tonight we're hearing from two men who were on the front lines of the chaotic scene that night. They're speaking for the first time to the I-Team's Vanessa Murphy, who brings you this exclusive story.
Set to bring them together. Here we go, round one, scheduled for 12.
Fight night in Las Vegas on September 7th, 1996. Mike Tyson versus Bruce Seldon. But violence erupted outside the ring. Rapper and actor Tupac Shakur gets into a scuffle in the MGM Grand lobby, which is caught on camera. Moments after he leaves, he's shot in a drive-by.
Cop cars kept flying by, so we knew something was going on. We just started following them.
Two young paramedics
I was driving.
were working nearby.
I had been a medic for roughly 5 years.
I was 22 years old.
Jim and Shane, now Henderson firefighters, have asked us not to use their last names because they're concerned about their safety. They're speaking publicly about that night for the first time.
Jim and I did everything that we could and gave him every ample, but the general public doesn't know that.
The shooting death of Tupac Shakur remains unsolved. But 20 years later, Jim and Shane describe an effort to save the 25-year-old man's life here at the scene they stumbled onto.
The chaos, there was a lot of chaos, a lot of cop cars.
Just as we started looking at each other to decide what we were doing, Metro told us to come in. They were waving us to come in.
And then exiting their ambulance.
Somebody met me at the back and said, "Go help my buddy." And my buddy shot in the car. So
which ended up being Suge Knight. Whole car, was riddled with bullet holes.
Death Row Records co-founder Suge Knight was the driver of the BMW Shakur was gunned down in.
We brought the gurney up
over,
just pulled him out.
Pulled him out, and that's when, everybody was yelling, Tupac, Tupac, and I leaned over to the cop and I go, this guy has the same nickname as that rapper. And the cop, looked at me and leaned over and was like, this is him.
Then a second patient.
We got word from PD that there was another guy that was shot in the head. Jim and I believe they walked him over to the ambulance. He got in and it ended up being Suge Knight who was grazed on the head.
He wanted us to make sure that we took care of Tupac before him.
And then with 3 Metro police officers inside their ambulance and a police escort, not typical protocol.
Before him.
And then with 3 Metro police officers inside their ambulance and a police escort, not typical protocol. A ride to University Medical Center, followed by Jim telling Shane who their patient was.
I listen to country music. I never heard of Tupac Shakur. So it didn't register to me.
Soon after, news reports, vigils, and more help put it all into perspective.
You were rooting for him? And I talked to him yesterday. We remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, we've run thousands and thousands of calls since that call, and we remember every detail like it was yesterday. Did you realize how much of an influence he really did have, and that how big of a deal it was? I guess I realize it more now than I did 20 years ago.
And now Metro Police tell us Tupac's murder case is at a standstill. We've learned some people who may have been witnesses or somehow connected to the murder are
How are you feeling and how are you doing physically?
I feel like this. I feel that the last word is always God. But Pac saved my life. The reason why I say Pac saved my life. I got shot in the head, got grazed some other places, but I still got the bullet in my head. It's still there. But for as trying to get him to the hospital, didn't make me realize that I was shot. Because usually when you get shot in the head, the first thing the person do is panic. Bam, I'm shot in the head, I'm about to die. And once you do that, you can't drive nowhere. My whole thing was, Pac, he was shot. I'm like, you shot? I'm gonna get you to the hospital. I'm driving, telling him I'm gonna get to the hospital, kick back. Pac looked at me and said, you know what? You need the doctor more than me. You the one shot in your head. And we laughed the whole time going to find out what to the hospital. That's the conversation we had. It wasn't, Pac was a man the whole time. It wasn't that he was like, oh, I'm shot. He cracking jokes. He's like, yeah, they shot me. He said, but you shot in your head. Look at your head bleed. Look how much it's bleed. That was Pac. I'm like, man, shut up, I'm gonna get you to the doctor.
So he was conscious on the way to the hospital?
He was conscious on the way to the hospital. He was conscious in the ambulance. He was conscious after they did the surgery.
What was the last thing that he said to you?
They loved me. We was going, we was on the thing that was getting there. I'm like, Pac, we the last one left. When we talk, this is how we talking. I said, homie, I'm straight. I love you, homie, I'm gonna be straight. I love you too. That's what it was.
There was a report earlier this week in the New York Post that Tupac was looking to leave Death Row Records. Is that true?
You should answer that. You don't take a person like Tupac who, if you listen to every song on All Eyes on Me, every song on Machiavelli, every time you do an interview, what's the first thing he say? Death Row.